आपने शानदार विजय प्राप्त की है। मेरी तरफ से मैं आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
Hi there, you're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me Shreyanshi Singh, and with me as always is Snehisha, and over the next 1 hour we'll take you through news and updates from within the country as well as across the globe. But first things first, we have to start with the news of the day.
Absolutely, and we're so happy, we're elated to be in the studio today. We're elated to be the first ones to take you through what has happened over the weekend, and as you can see, the India fever has still not worn off. Shreyanshi and I have donned our jerseys bright and early this morning. We're very excited to take you through whatever has been happening over the course of the week. Of course, the big news has to be India bagging the T20 World Cup. Let's get more details on that. And after 4 weeks of power-packed action, drama and plenty of twists, the ICC 2024 ends with India crowned as world champions. After reaching the precipice on so many occasions in the last few years, the men in blue have finally clinched a win in a last ball thriller against South Africa, and Kohli crowns a glittering T20 career with a trophy that has him eluded throughout his entire career. Now let's talk about both of these greats that are bidding a farewell to T20 cricket. You know, Shreyanshi, 1 second you're celebrating the win, 5 minutes later you have Kohli coming on, giving his speech, coming on air saying, I'm done. And that is when that breaks your heart, right? Because you have two of the greats of Indian cricket. You have Rohit as well as Kohli, and not to mention Ravindra Jadeja has also bid farewell to this format of the sport. Now Rohit, who won the inaugural 2007 World Cup in South Africa, look at the irony over here. He adds another special chapter in his illustrious career. What captaincy, what calls, and what calmness at the moment it was required the most. The men in blue ending their 17-year drought. Celebrations galore and tributes and congratulatory messages poured in from across the world. And Shreyanshi, it was a nail-biter. We were laughing, we were crying, we were praying, we did not allow anybody to move from their seats. It was that thrilling. And something so fitting. I mean, the match that we did see, perfect to sum up a World Cup final, Shreyanshi.
Absolutely. It was a nail-biter until almost the very end, until Surya Kumar Yadav caught that catch.
Oh my God, that was incredible, yes.
That was amazing, and of course among those heaping praises on the team were politicians too, cutting across party lines. PM Modi also lauded the team's performance, calling it historic. Commenting on India securing victory in every match held during the World Cup, Modi said it is not a small feat in a tournament where so many countries took part. President Murmu also hailed the team's never say die spirit. And never say die spirit is something that we definitely saw in that excellent craftsmanship when it comes to Akshar Patel and Kohli's partnership as well. Remember, Rohit Sharma's tenure as Indian captain also has been marked by his unwavering determination to lead the team to an ICC title ever since he assumed the role in late 2021. In a perfect conclusion to his illustrious 16-year T20I career, he also announced his retirement during the post-match press conference. Additionally, the BCCI has announced a prize money of 125 crores for the team, which is very well deserved. Listen into a slice of what they had to say as well about their win.
Alright, with that, let's also listen in to the head coach of Indian cricket team, Rahul Dravid. Listen into what he had to say about Hardik Pandya, sharing their bit of the joy post the historic T20 and overall. Well, definitely, boys played well, Shreyanshi, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Firstly, there is no redemption. I'm not one of those guys who thinks about redemption and those kind of things. As a player, I was not lucky enough to win a trophy. But I tried my best. I gave my best whenever I played, and it wasn't to be, and that happens. It's part of sport. There are a lot of other players I know who have not been able to win a trophy. I was lucky to be given the opportunity to coach a team, and I was lucky that this bunch of boys made it possible for me to be able to win this trophy, and it's a great, nice feeling. But it's not like I'm aiming for some redemption. It's just a job that I was doing. I love doing the job. I've loved working with with Rohit and this team, and it's been a great journey, and I've really enjoyed it. I'm not looking for it again. No, I'm not a legacy person. I'm not looking for legacies. I just feel glad that we gave it the best we could, and it's not just me. I think I'd like to really just acknowledge the support staff that I've worked with, the coaching staff that I've worked with. I think I've been lucky to have been working with a truly exceptionally hardworking, professional intelligent bunch of coaches and other support staff who have made it possible for us to create a fantastic environment led by Rohit that has, I'm glad, with a bit of luck, resulted in this trophy as well. And I couldn't be happier for this team, and I couldn't be happier for so many of the Indian fans who keep coming out to these games. They keep supporting Indian cricket, they keep supporting world cricket, and you just feel so grateful that you're able to give them a moment like this and something to be really happy about.
Well, that's the word coming in from Rahul Dravid, head coach Shreyansi, Mr. Dependable, coming in for the Indian cricket team and showing up when it matters the most. This guy did not win the World Cup back then, and look at that redemption arc, and look at our redemption arc as well, because less than a year ago, on 19th November 2023, is when we lost to Australia in the 50 overs, the ODI World Cup final. And look at us, we're back on our feet, and how, because less than a year later, we've clinched the title of world champions when it comes to the T20 World Cup. And Shreyansi, let's talk a little bit more about the role that Rahul Dravid has played in the entire team. He has been nicknamed the Wall because of how he used to stand in the test matches and never let a wicket go.
Absolutely, and it's really interesting that he said that he doesn't chase legacies, because, like it or not, he has really created a legacy for
one
himself.
Exactly.
And every single match, you could see that Rahul Dravid is somebody who's backing the team, who's coming in with his excellent craftsmanship and teaching it to everybody else. Not that they need teaching at all.
And look at the kind of support he lends to the team. Look at the visuals here. Look at how happy Virat is, and a picture like this is a very befitting farewell to who we popularly call as King Kohli. And Shreyansi, you should have seen the streets of Mumbai the night we won the match. 10 minutes after the presentation was over, it's like the entire city had come onto the roads. Marine Drive was flocked. You had the more popular areas of Bombay, name it, there was traffic everywhere, but nobody was complaining. You had people on two-wheelers and cars. Tricolour was flaring very, very high. Spirits were really high on Saturday night, Shreyansi, and what a night to remember.
Absolutely, and not just Mumbai. We saw a lot of these visuals pouring in from the rest of the country.
Exactly.
It was absolutely amazing to see how everybody was celebrating. And in a small, minuscule way, I feel like it was everybody's win, not just the teams, because you sat through all of it for 4 hours just not being able to get up from your seat. Every single ball was just taking you closer to the World Cup and sometimes even further away. But what a match it was.
But take a look at also what each individual player has had to contribute to this. Of course, this was a team effort, but look at someone like a Hardik Pandya keeping his calm in that last final over, thinking about all the backlash he has received over the last couple of months. And you have someone like Rishabh Pant who's nearly met death and come back from 2022, missed the 50 over World Cup, the ODI one, but look at how he has bounced back. You also have Jasprit Bumrah, who missed the last T20 World Cup because of a back injury, and look at the form that this man has come back with. It is said, and it is true, that batsmen, they win you the match, but it is bowlers that win you the entire tournament, and that is exactly what has happened. And we should also mention Akshar Patel, the likes of Kuldeep Yadav. Look at the way these guys have played. What resolute, what calmness of mind, and what stability, and what confidence in themselves and the game and their craft and their skill when it comes to this entire game. Because Shreyansi, holding on to those nerves is not easy when you have 1.4 billion eyes and more probably from the world all glued to you, hoping that this is the one where we, claim the cup, and that's exactly what we've done.
Well, absolutely. And then, you did have that Akshar Patel. Since you mentioned Akshar Patel, we did have that Akshar Patel partnership with King Kohli. And, they say Thala for a reason, but I feel like it's King Kohli also for a reason, definitely. And that is something that we saw a slice of in the match as well. Then, of course, there's Surya Kumar Yadav, right? With that $1 million catch that stunned the world.
What a game changer coming in
Absolutely.
from Surya Kumar
His
Yadav.
presence of mind, his agility, his game awareness, it was spot on. And the way that, he just caught that catch, it was just absolutely amazing. You could not believe your eyes because you were like, oh, it's done. Okay.
There was a point where Henrik Larsson, when he just wasn't getting out, I really did not want to say it out loud, but it was giving me flashbacks of Travis Head back in our India versus Australia game. And I was like, God, this guy needs to go, because the moment he's gone, we have the reins back in our hand. And that's exactly what happened, because on one hand, that Akshar Patel gave away 24 runs in an over. You also have to remember that he was the second highest run scorer in the match. That crucial knock of 47 coming in when we absolutely needed it the most. So, a very well balanced game, at least coming in from Akshar Patel. You had Bumrah, the form of his life is what he has displayed over here. Quick wickets, very sharp and crisp bowling coming in. Our batsmen were no less. Overall, I think, Shreyansi, this was such a nail biter. If this was a movie, I think this was perfectly scripted down to the T. If it were a movie, because of how thrilling it was and how, nail biting it was, how end minute it was, we were off our seats. And I don't remember sitting down for the last half an hour of the match, because superstition comes into play over here. We've not let people get up from their place. You're like, sit down, we need to get this one. Everybody back to their poses. That's exactly what happened, because those last half an hour, those last 5 or 6 overs where actually they had come down to 30. They needed 30 in 30. And I was like, at that moment, I will be honest, Shreyansi, there was very little hope left in me, because I was getting those Australia flashbacks coming in from last year. But all's well that ends well.
That was absolutely a very important wicket. And Snehi, if this was a movie, like you said, if this were a movie, I feel like Team India really just hit it out of the park. And that is something that we saw a slice of, when we saw the match. And those 4 hours were very important for us, because we were really glued to the screens with that nail biter coming in. Listen into the word coming in from Rohit Sharma, Team India's captain as well.
जब पहली बार इंडियन टीम में आया था 2007 में, पहला मेरा चैलेंज था, ऑब्वियसली मैं आयरलैंड गया था 50 ओवर के लिए, बट उसके बाद तुरंत ही हम साउथ अफ्रीका गए थे T20 वर्ल्ड कप खेलने के लिए, और वहाँ पे जीते। फिर उसके बाद अभी ये तो फुल सर्कल, प्रॉपर सर्कल, सो आई एम वेरी हैप्पी विद दिस।
Feels obviously very, very special. I've said it multiple times before as well. This was a dream which I wanted to win. Someone from where I come from in my life, how life has been. This is something which was always a dream, and it's the feeling which I can't describe, because it has finally happened, and more so over when I know that when everything came down to me at the end. Just very, very happy for the group, and finally got this.
That's the word coming in from Hardik Pandya. What a stellar knock coming in, as well as bowling coming in from this brilliant Indian cricketer. But viewers, with that, let's slip into a short breather on this edition of Market Cafe. We'll keep it going with all things cricket when we return, so you stay tuned.
आपने शानदार विजय प्राप्त की है। मेरी तरफ से मैं आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
Well, let's keep it going with our coverage then. And we've seen that match, and that after that match, there wasn't much left to see in that. It was a nail biter. It was a last ball thriller. And you know, Snehi, we were just talking about it. It was such an emotional win for the two of us. Imagine how much of an emotional win it must be for Rohit Sharma, and a slice of that I'm sure we saw a little bit in his post as well, in his social media post, where he was lying down just absorbing the moment at the Kensington
And you know,
Oval.
Shanti, what stood out to me the most was, you know, look at the emotions coming in, because the first thing he did when the team was celebrating is sit down, bow to the ground, take a little piece of soil from that stadium and get a good taste of it. And this is what, Shanti, I think victory must be tasting like, because you know, that gesture coming in. And you also had Mohammad Siraj, who was waiting, you know, in the dugout downstairs, waiting for that last ball to be bowled, because we were certain we have won by then. Everyone was waiting, you know, he was ready to run, but something happened in that moment where everybody started running, and this man has fallen to the ground. He cried the most when we lost against Australia, and this man has cried once again, but this time it's been tears of joy winning against South Africa. And you know what, let's also give some due credit to South Africa, because they haven't lost a single match over the course of the entire World Cup. You know, this is a team that has been known as eternal chokers, and look at the way they have also come back. So you know, you slightly feel bad when it comes for the losing party, but Shanti, when it's India winning, you actually don't feel that bad.
Well, absolutely, you definitely do not feel that bad. And after Rohit Sharma silenced his critics, and how it was just heartwarming to see that reaction coming in and everything that he did there. You could feel that, you know, the joy that he was feeling in that moment after having silenced his critics.
Absolutely. And let's also talk a little bit more about Rahul Dravid over here, because other than being head coach not only of India A, look at how he has shaped up India's bench to come in the future. And this is what a great leader or a good coach does. Before he leaves, he readies the next generation to come in, because no matter what performances we've seen over the course of their career from Kohli, Rohit, Jadeja and the other greats, it's time to say farewell to them, unfortunately. But now we also have a very bright future looking in for India, because look at the way Rahul Dravid has groomed the likes of Sanju Samson. You have Yashasvi Jaiswal, you have the other youngsters in the crowd. Look at someone like an Arshdeep Singh. 2 years ago, he might have made his IPL debut not more than 2 or 3 years ago. And from there to playing in the India A team, playing for the World Cup, and you know, showing a crucial and consistent bowling performance all throughout the tournament. This is what Rahul Dravid has done. He has shaped the bench for the generations to come of Indian cricket, and it is very safe to say that the future of Indian cricket is in very stable, steady and confident young hands with a very bright future coming.
Well, absolutely, and stable hands is something that Surya Kumar Yadav really just illustrated with that $1 million catch, Snehi. But my colleague Karishma Singh also caught up with Roger Binney, BCCI president, former West Indies player Ian Bishop as well, right after the historic match. Let's go across and listen in to a slice of that conversation as well.
I'm really happy and pleased, to see the way the team performed. Because even in this game, the match suddenly was taken away from us. At a certain stage, we didn't look as we were going to win it. So the fighting qualities of the players, I think they showed the qualities in the field, the way they bowled and the way they fielded. And at any time they never gave up. You see, that's the main thing. And also in the game against Pakistan, when we were actually out of a contest like this, and then we came back. So it reminds me a lot of even the 83 World Cup when we played. We were a lot of times we were really out of the game. But even like in not one time we came. That shows the fighting qualities, and even the final when we were short of the demolished one of the best batting sides in the world. And they show the same qualities here to these players.
And the two stalwarts of the game, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, both together deciding to say goodbye to the T20 format. Of course, a big loss for Indian cricket, but like they say, the next generation needs to take it on.
Definitely. These two guys going out together, I mean, it's not going to help the team. But then, you somewhere along the line, somebody's got to put their hands up and say, okay, we're going to take up and fill up the role. It's not going to be easy because these two cricketers they dominated the game in the last decade. I mean, it's outstanding. But things will change. Before the Virat and Rohit Sharma, you had Sachin. Who would have thought that Sachin after a while? Cricket's going to produce young cricketers, and the IPL has thrown up much more talent than that.
It's a big win for the Indian team. Vanessa, how do you put it?
No, I think it's a great win. It's, I say, justification of all the preparation, all the hard work that has gone into it. And I think it's deserved because given the way India has had the resources, the human resource, the economic resource, this is exactly what they need. And to have Virat Kohli going out to his T20I career with this sort of win, tremendous.
And so what do you say about Jasprit Bumrah? He is a player that needs to be spoken about more and more and more.
I don't know how much more we can say about Jasprit. I think I've exhausted all the words that I can, but he's a legend, and I hope that India continue to use him to bring on.
Any message for the Indian team of what they've achieved today? They've done it after 2007 when MS Dhoni won it last. But Rohit Sharma, it's been emotional.
Yeah, more for the fans. I remember the heartbreak that I saw after the final of the World Cup last year at the airport in Ahmedabad. And this will go some way towards healing.
Coming in from two of the cricketing legends, you have Binny as well as Ian Bishop coming in with their first takes right after the match. I'm sure emotions were high and the crowd was really excited to see what has gone down, and how I wish I was one of the people who was there at Barbados seeing everything that's been happening live in action. Let's also talk about what BCCI is going to be gifting, because other than the love of 1.4 billion Indians, let's talk about the monetary compensation that comes in the way. BCCI has announced a prize of 125 crores coming in for the entire Indian team. And let's also take a brief moment to thank all the faces that we do not see on the front. Let's talk about the entire support staff, the coaches, the analysts, the management. You have the physiotherapists, the doctors, the nutritionists, everybody who makes up the strength behind the scenes when it comes to Team India, leading the show at the front. But next up, listen into what Chris Gale, former Pakistan player Shoaib Akhtar and Syed Kirmani had to comment about our two Indian cricket stalwarts, Virat Kohli as well as Rohit Sharma. Listen.
Virat Kohli always come to crunch, okay? And he makes that punch. And he did that in the final.
Rohit Sharma has made it. क्या बात की जाए, emotions are really high for India because अहमदाबाद में हारे थे, और मैं बार बार ये कह रहा था इंडिया डिजर्व करता था ना सिर्फ वो टूर्नामेंट जीतना बल्कि ये भी, और हिंदुस्तान को बहुत बहुत मुबारक हो बिकॉज बहुत अच्छा खेले हैं अनडिफीटेड टिल द फाइनल्स. और जिस तरह रोहित शर्मा वाज डाउन ऑन द ग्राउंड क्राइंग, इट सेज इट ऑल कि व्हाट इट मीन्स टू हिम, और जो उनसे गलती हुई थी अहमदाबाद में वो आज उन्होंने पूरी कर दी.
Congratulations to Rohit and his team. A brilliant performance right throughout, right from the first match, right from the first ball until the finals. You have done a great job, my dear cricketers. Keep it up and keep going. Be positive, be honest, be sincere in your efforts, and this is the result which you will get. So I wish you all the best with good health and happiness. God bless you all with total good health, happiness. Enjoy life.
You know, see, it was quite the feat that, the India team accomplished, because to get to that pitch undefeated and then to just hit it out of the park just like that, it was unbelievable. Right?
First team ever to do that, undefeated consecutive wins in a row to do that. And I think that is what cricket does, right? It's more than a sport, it's an emotion. Look at that. You have players, greatest players of all nationalities coming together. You have political leaders of different parties coming together to cheer on and to celebrate and to congratulate. I think this is what cricket does. I mean, it blurs all boundaries, it blurs generations, it blurs nationalities and political leanings. And I think that is what cricket means for India. But viewers, with that, let's slip into the news for the hearing impaired.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, after that lowdown on the nail biter that we had earlier, let's also take a look at the Wall Street that is buckling up for the second half of 2024, Snehi.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at what's been happening on the US markets. We'll be taking a look at what happened in the month of June, what happened in the first quarter, and what happened in the first 6 months of this year, the first half, or a YTD basis. But let's take a look at what happened intraday first. And stock futures rose in overnight trading on Sunday as Wall Street looked ahead to the second half of 2024. Remember now, Wall Street is coming off a losing session for the major averages of a strong finish to the first half of the trading year. Continued excitement surrounding artificial intelligence and stocks such as Nvidia, which has been the market's most recent darling, led the S&P 500 to a 14.5% gain for the first half of the year. NASDAQ has rallied 18.1%. The Dow, however, has underperformed due to a pullback in the second quarter, adding only 3.8% underperformance coming in compared to its peers. Now, for the quarter that went by, the S&P and NASDAQ have added 3.9 and 8.3% respectively. NASDAQ has very clearly outperformed both of its peers, and the Dow has lost 1.7% coming in for the quarter that went by. The NASDAQ notched its third positive quarter in a row for the first time since a 5-quarter streak ending in 2021. So let's see if this Nvidia boosted rally or Nvidia driven rally in fact can lead to this record also being broken. Now some expect this technology driven momentum to persist at least through the summer, despite some fears that multiples have hit heightened levels. Now remember, this week kicks off on a holiday shortened trading week, with the markets closed on Thursday, which is the 4th of July, the Independence Day coming in for USA. Investors will get a big clue into the state of the labor market on Friday with the June jobs report. Before that, you have S&P PMI manufacturing and ISM manufacturing data for June that are out today, along with construction spending. And it's not only the US, you have China, Eurozone and UK as well that come out with their PMI data today. But while that was on the US front, let's shift focus and take a look at what Europe has done on Friday. DAX rather flat coming in with a very slight 25-point uptick coming in, but in the green nonetheless. FTSE, however, slightly pressured, 0.2% lower, 15-point cut coming in on that index. And Stocks 600 also continues to be under pressure. Remember, this index, which is the Pan-European index, has seen some pressure over the last 2 or 3 weeks and continues to do so, because down 0.2% is where that index has closed. But while that was everything that we needed to know of coming in from the global handover in terms of equity, Shansi, tell us what's happening in the world of oil, because I see some momentum is also being built up over there.
Well, absolutely. But before that, in a cricket analogy, because cricket fever has gripped us, it was really NASDAQ that really hit it out of the park.
Absolutely.
That
you really had to add that, didn't you?
Absolutely. You can't really get away from that, at least today. But then moving on then, and let's take a look at US crude oil then. That booked a third straight weekly gain as fears of war between Israel and the Iran-backed militia Hezbollah grew. So when you take a look at WTI then, that briefly hit an intraday high of $82 per barrel, the highest level for the US benchmark since April 30th. When you take a look at Brent as well, that was around those $87 a barrel levels earlier in the session, the global benchmark's highest level in 2 months, remember. And US oil has also gained 1% for the week and 5.9% for June. Now WTI, when you take a look at the price levels, it was around $81 a barrel, down a tick of about 27 cents coming in on a daily basis, so about 0.2% thereabout. Year to date, US oil has gained 13.8%. When you take a look at Brent, then that was around $86 per barrel, up tick of about 2 cents coming in, marginal uptick there. But year to date, the global benchmark is also ahead by 12.1%. Now, in terms of The backdrop that this comes against, the Pentagon has moved military assets closer to Lebanon to prepare for the evacuation of Americans as fighting escalates and as cross-border fire between Israel and Hezbollah intensifies, according to reports. Now, the State Department urged US citizens to also strongly reconsider travel to Lebanon as well, and oil prices all in all are rising as signs point toward a military conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, stoking fears of a confrontation with OPEC member Iran, and that is something that all markets are looking at. Meanwhile, let's also take a look at gold prices then. Gold prices steadied on Friday after a key US inflation report was broadly in line with expectations, boosting hopes that the Federal Reserve could cut interest rates by September. So when you take a look at the price action coming in for gold as well, spot gold was steady around 2,300 per ounce, $300 per ounce. So that's the level that we saw for gold as well, Snehi. But that being said, let's also take a look at the Asian markets, because that is definitely going to be a cue that we'll be looking at.
Absolutely. Lots of cues coming in from Asia today as well as over the weekend. Let me take you through a quick wrap of whatever's been happening in the Asian markets. And Asian markets looking rather mixed as of now as we start the second half of the year. But let's take it index-wise. And first, let's talk about what's been happening with China, because China has released its official PMI figures on the weekend, with its manufacturing PMI coming in at 49.5, unchanged from May and marking its second straight month of contraction. On the back of that, Shanghai slightly under pressure. Not much happening, but slightly tempered is where Shanghai is. Hang Seng, the rates you are seeing are from Friday because the markets are closed today on a public holiday. Moving on, let's talk about what Nikkei is up to. Nikkei rose almost 0.3% on open. Now let's talk about the confidence figures that are coming in, because confidence among big Japanese manufacturers have improved in the second quarter, with the Bank of Japan's Tankan survey at plus 13 compared to plus 11 in the first quarter. Economists polled by Reuters had expected to be plus 12, so it's a slight beat on that front as well. And non-manufacturer sentiment also stood at plus 33, matching a market forecast down from plus 34 in the previous quarter. But the street has been taking these figures really well, because a 100-point uptick coming in on Nikkei as of now. So very stellar moves coming in on the Japanese markets as well. And like I mentioned, you have the S&P purchasing index coming in for Japan, South Korea, as well as US, UK, Eurozone and China as the numbers that we just saw. Kospi, however, was flat at open, continues to be there, not doing much is where the Kospi is at. And lastly, let's also take a look at what Australia did. It fell 0.2 on open, continues to build onto those losses. Unfortunately, a half a percent drop coming in on ASX as well. So rather mixed moves coming in. You have Hang Seng and Nikkei that are doing decently. Pardon me, you have Shanghai and Nikkei that are doing decently, but the other indices are languishing in trade, with Hang Seng shut for a public holiday. Shifting focus back home, let's also talk where we shut shop. On Friday was the first time we opened above 24,000, closed at 24.10, so not much happening on that front. Implied at 24,124, so a slightly 14-15 point uptick penciled in, and rather a 7 or an 8 point cut implied on the futures. This is on the spot that I was talking about. On the futures, you have an 8 point cut that is being penciled in. So rather tempered trading day coming for us, Shreyansi. Let's just see how this pans out for us.
Well, absolutely. Let's see how the trading day pans out for us. But as we slip into a short break, here's your daily dose of global stories. So take a look at those as well.
Hi there, welcome back. So we're watching Market Cafe on ET now. Let's get it going and let's talk about markets a little bit now. And commodity prices are once again on the rebound, especially with coffee prices soaring 20% for the quarter and crude up 11% as well. But will this trickle into other commodities? What's the impact going to be for FMCG players? And is the risk of inflation real? Winnie Motiwala is joining us with more details on this. Good morning, Winnie.
Good morning, and yes, that's what we are watching out for, because seems like agri commodities again are seeing a bit of a rise coming in again. We were saying coffee prices, we've seen that actually see a sharp rise. In the middle, we had also seen chocolate prices. So yes, cacao prices, those had shot up as well. So this comes in as a concern, because in the last year we had seen commodity prices actually ease off, but now seems like they're coming back. Look at coffee, the highest amount in terms of the inflation we're seeing on a year-on-year basis in Q1. We have crude that is increasing, then sugar, wheat, as well as palm oil. Now, wheat, palm oil obviously does affect a lot of FMCG companies, including sugar, especially biscuit makers. Palm oil affects FMCG companies like HUL, GCPL, who are making soap. Palm oil is obviously a base commodity that's used in making that, and coffee prices obviously seeing a sharp increase. Now, other than that, what also gives a worry is packaging prices, because crude oil prices, that saw an increase. Packaging material, that has remained stable, but that becomes a concern. That will this actually be a concern now coming in for these companies, that will also see an increase. Crude prices impacts paint companies. It forms a significant part in terms of the derivative. Crude derivative forms a significant part in terms of paint companies. So all this starts increasing, then you do start seeing an impact coming in terms of overall the cost of these companies and impacting the margins. Now, Britannia wheat constitutes around 25%. They make a lot of biscuits. 25% of their raw material cost is wheat. For Nestle, it's around 9%. While in terms of palm oil prices, like I mentioned, we have GCPL, HUL, Nestle, Britannia, all of these also do have palm oil impact that comes in. If this increases, it impacts the cost as well. Now, margin trends, why are we concerned? Because finally margins, when you look at it, had started seeing a recovery coming in. Dabur, Britannia, any of the companies that you look, has started moving upwards. You can see clearly the graph showing that as well. But will this be a concern now, because the raw material prices are increasing? There will be a lag of effect, maybe not this quarter, but next quarter could see an impact in terms of margins if the commodity prices continue to rise for these companies. All of them had seen an improvement in terms of gross margins, so we're keeping an eye out on that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Vinny, for joining us with that roundup. Let's also take a look at the brokerages and what they had to say, and which are the counters that are making it to their list. When you take a look at what Kotak Securities had to say about JB Pharma, they're initiating a buy with a target of 2025. They're talking about how efforts in India and CMO are something that they see propelling earnings as well. In terms of expectations, then they're talking about how they see improved MR productivity in India, and as well as in terms of the order book, they see healthy CMO order book and steady exports traction as well. So that's the word coming in from Kotak Securities on JB Pharma. Let's also take a look at what Morgan Stanley had to say about Amara Raja then. And they're maintaining an underweight rating with a target of around 967. So in terms of what else they had to say, they're talking about how versus Exide, Amara Raja really just has a lot of capability, and in terms of lags, there's also customer wins as well as ramp up timelines that they see that is a little bit of a lag coming in for Amara Raja there as well. Now let's also take a look at what else they had to say in terms of financial returns on lithium battery business. That is something that they saw as not clear. They also remain selectively overweight in the segment as well. Let's also quickly take a look at what Macquarie had to say about United Spirits then. They're maintaining an underperform rating with a target of 1,000. They're talking about how muted volume growth is something that is likely in Q1. And they're also talking about how regular sales would also be flatter. So that is the word coming in from Macquarie on United Spirits as well. So that largely is the handover coming in from brokerages, Snehi.
Absolutely, let's shift focus. Talk about the entire auto sector that's going to be in focus today. The subdued wholesale picture could be in store for Motown, as wedding fever fails to cheer two-wheeler sales while tractors and CVs are on the mend. Shrishti, who tracks this sector closely, is here with what we can expect from the auto sales data today.
Well, for the month of June, we are not expecting any great set of numbers across the segments. This month is expected to give us subdued set of numbers because first up, there's been no push because of the marriage season, and secondly, because of the delayed monsoon. Some of the segments did get a hit because of the heat waves as well from the likes of two-wheeler segment, as well as the tractor sales were not that favorable. But all in all, a decent month coming in, not major declines as well as what we are expecting. Firstly, let's have a look at the passenger vehicle segment here. In a single-digit decline on a month-on-month basis is what we are expecting. The leader could be Maruti Suzuki, wherein we are expecting a 7% decline on a month month-on-month basis, while for Tata Motors we are expecting a decline of 2%, while for M&M Auto the sales is expected to be just flat. From the commercial vehicle segment, there could be some recovery or some jump on a month-on-month basis, because this time we are expecting that Eicher Motors VECV expected to record 4% growth, and from Tata Motors as well as Ashok Leyland we are expecting a jump of 7 to 12%. When it comes to the two-wheeler segment, the build-up was quite positive, that because of the monsoon there could be some growth in the numbers because of the sentimentally the news flow could be on the positive side, but because of the heat waves the sales or the sales number actually got delayed a bit from the likes of two-wheelers. Bajaj Auto, TVS, Eicher Motors expected to see a single-digit decline, while for Hero MotoCorp we are expecting a 15% decline on a month-on-month basis. Lastly, from the tractor division, a jump of a double-digit is what we are expecting on a month-on-month basis, while in the upcoming months the tractor sales are expected to do well.
Well, absolutely. Thanks, Srishti, for that roundup coming in. Well, with that, it's a goodbye on this special edition of Market Cafe on ET Now. From me, Shreyansi Singh, Snehi Shah, as well as the entire team that put this show together. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bleed blue and keep your eyes on the screen, because the market takes all of the action forward.